Okay, board members, we're going to call back to order. We have a math. This is my favorite part. So, PK through 12 mathematics update. And we're going to go ahead and let you introduce yourselves and get started. So thank you. Yeah, we'll click you on.
Look at that. All right. Thank you, chairs, board members. I am Molly Basham. I am the Early Learning Mathematics Specialist in the Teaching and Learning Department. We are very excited to be here today to share some updates about all of the wonderful things that have been happening in our state in the pre-K through 12 mathematics space. And you guys already got a brief pre-introduction to Lindsay, but I am joined today by Trish French, our elementary mathematics specialist, and Lindsay Henderson, who is our secondary math specialist. And the three of us make up the math team in teaching and learning. So I'm going to kick us off, starting off with a little update on our statewide progress with the Acadience Mathematics Assessment that we've been administering to all first through third graders for the past 2 years. Then Trish will give some updates in the elementary math space on professional learning that's been provided and some progress in that space as well. And Lindsay will wrap up our presentation talking about things going on in the secondary math landscape. So as I said, I wanted to share some progress happening in the early learning mathematics space with the Acadience Math Assessment specifically. And you all have heard lots of information over the last few months. I know Dr. Thronson presented last month at the very wee hours of the meeting on progress happening in literacy and talked a lot about the Acadience reading progress. But we're very excited to share some of the happenings around Acadience math as well. So up on the screen, I have two different charts for you to look at. The chart on the left shows the percentage of first through third grade students demonstrating typical or better progress. And for those who are not as familiar with the Acadience assessments, our statewide growth goal in both literacy and math are set for LEAs to target having at least 60% of their first through third grade students making that typical or better progress on the assessment in both math and in literacy. And this measure is determined based on the student's individual starting point. And it's if a student is making typical or better progress, that means that they have, through the high quality instruction provided by their teachers, made the progress that would be expected or better progress than what would be expected over the course of the year. So if you look at that graph, in the 2021-2022 school year, we had 57% of our first through third grade students overall statewide making that typical or better progress. This year we saw a 5% increase in that, bringing it up to 62%. We had a lot of LEAs that far exceeded that percentage, some who are still working on it, but we just really wanted to celebrate seeing that kind of growth in just 1 year is really fabulous, and it shows that we're moving in the right direction. The chart on the right shows the percentage of first through third grade students meeting benchmark at the end of the year, and this I think is a really huge celebration. The numbers are not as high as we would like to see them get to eventually, but last year in the first year of the administration of the test, 44% of our first through third grade students met benchmark at end of the year. We saw an 11 percentage point growth this year to 55%. That is tremendous in just one school year, and it really speaks to, and we want to give a shout out to our incredible early elementary teachers who, as you know, have been absolutely inundated with literacy training, engaging in letters. That has been such a huge focus for them. The fact that they have also been able to make these kinds of gains in the math space is just incredible. So a huge shout out to our teachers and our leaders who have supported them. I'm going to pass the mic now over to Trish so that she can provide some additional updates in the elementary space.
Let's see if I can master this. Success. Thank you. Can y'all hear me? As Molly said, I'm Trish French. I am the elementary math specialist, and I want to continue on with sharing data to you. You can see from this slide, the middle column is our math scores represented by the RISE summative data, and we're making progress. Wahoo. And I want to shout out also our elementary teachers, the students, you know, they're the ones doing this and having a great time, but also their families. You know, our families are super supportive of our teachers and our students, and they provide that extra care that's necessary for kids to do, as they have shown here. It's really been awesome this year to be able to get into classes in person and see the joy that's returning to math instruction. Kids are engaged, teachers are excited, and we're having a world of mathematicians because everybody loves math, right? And then the next is the work that we collectively have been doing, not only this past year, but in the previous 2 years with regards to supporting all the work being done by the educators. And these projects that you see up here are representative of requests that are made by the educators themselves. It's what they are asking us to provide them with. They're not being done to, if you will. And their enthusiasm and support and participation is really overwhelming. The Early Learning Coaching Institute has been led out by Molly, served over 150 educators statewide. It's a road show. She takes it down to St. George and up north, and we have sessions here. They're in person and virtual, which is really, really exciting, and the engagement is at such a high level. A number of asynchronous book studies where educators can request a copy, either an e-link or the actual copy of the book, and work through the book materials with guided questioning and responses, and they get to pick these on their own based on what their personal needs are, or they can take them into a professional learning group at their school. So it's really got a broad range of ways that it can be utilized. Great opportunity, and when you read their reflections, oh my gosh, you would be like so overwhelmed at their insights into the materials and how it's impacting their practice. And it's like, wow, I never thought of that. And you know, it's just considering everything our teachers are doing, you know, the fact that they volunteer for this. I do want to learn more about that. And then throughout the year, we've provided quite a number of in-person and virtual learning opportunities, ranging from content support to pedagogy, just bringing in experts. We have experts, and additional people from outside. And once again, just kudos to the educators for taking that extra time. It's most often outside of the school day. I don't think we've done any on the weekend, but I know I did a number this summer, and I actually saw a few of you down in Ursa, and so the participation, you know, in those kinds of sessions is just amazing. And then finally, I just wanted to share with you our pre-K-12 mathematics framework, and this was a collective effort. We're 2 years into it now. It was developed with stakeholders from throughout the state, from our youngest not youngest educators, but our educators of our youngest children all the way up to our university people. And we got together, multiple sessions, looked through what are some of the most effective practices, where can we streamline our efforts the most to get the best results for our students and actually grow our experience as educators in mathematics. So, yeah, I can't say enough about the hard work that teachers throughout the state are doing, the support they're getting from their families, and, you know, the joy seeing these kids just playing with numbers and playing in mathematical concepts. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lindsay.
I'm a rule follower, sorry. Lindsay Henderson, Secondary Math Specialist. I'm pleased to be here with you today to talk about the secondary math landscape that we have in Utah that just seems to be thriving. The first thing I want to point out, so secondary math covers that transition year of 6th grade all the way through 12th grade, which is also a transition year into the early college space. So I have my hands in a lot of buckets and work with a lot of stakeholders to make sure that things move seamlessly through all of those transitionary periods. And the first bright spot that I want to share with you is about our wonderful middle school educators, students, and families. Utah was the only state on the NAEP, which is the nation's report card, that did not see a statistically significant decline in their scores from what I call pre-pandemic to post-pandemic. I like to acknowledge that there was a huge disruption in those years, and our educators and families and our students stayed strong, and it was just a level of a score. The only other entity that achieved that accomplishment was the Department of Defense, and I think it just shows how resilient our middle school landscape is. So huge shout out. So we have, in middle school, we have Math 7, Math 8, there's Math 6 that comes before that, that's sometimes in a middle school as well. And then we transition into our high school courses, and a traditional student will take secondary Math 1 in 9th grade, secondary Math 2 in 10th grade, and secondary Math 3 in 11th grade. We are 3 years of foundation math credits to graduate, to fulfill graduation requirements, and we'll talk a little bit about the opportunities that we have once students fulfill those foundation math credits and that link up with our early college experience. We have about 18% of students that take AP Calculus or AP Statistics as a senior every year, and so we have two pathways that students can engage with. We have the foundation courses, and those give you your basics that everybody needs to know for what our stakeholders have defined as what constitutes secondary math. And then we have that blue column on the right, and those are called extended topics, and that's because those students who choose to take those classes will have the opportunity and the background knowledge so that they can take AP Calculus as a senior in high school. They get all of the foundation content, and then there's just a little bit of extra pre-calculus sprinkled throughout the 3 years so that they can engage in AP Calculus as a senior. And our colleges have worked really hard to link up so when students go to a university or a college in Utah, you have to fulfill a quantitative literacy credit. Every student has to do that in order to fulfill graduation requirements from a university or a college in Utah. And we're so fortunate in our state to have a supportive system of higher education. They come together and they've decided that those 3 quantitative literacy courses the students can engage with, they can either take it as their first year of college or they could take it as a senior in high school. And we have that Math 1030, Math 1040, and Math 1050 that's kind of there at the bottom. And I'm going to advance the slide to show you. This is a student-facing document that we use for families to make informed choices about if they want to take a dual enrollment course or a concurrent enrollment course. Should they take quantitative reasoning? Should they take statistics? Or should they take college algebra? And all of our universities have come together to decide, this is across the entire state, that if you are interested in English language arts, fine arts, humanities, or performing arts, you should focus your energy on Math 1030, which is quantitative reasoning. That's the math course that's going to best serve you. And the other 2 are described there as well. Oh.
Can we jump back one slide? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
I'm looking at this. It looks fantastic. What are we doing for there's a small percentage of kids that just excel. And I know in the charter school I just came from, we had 9th and 10th graders taking AP Calculus. What do we do for these geniuses, right, to continue and encourage that growth in mathematics? Because here it looks like if you're in 9th grade, you kind of have 2 options, right? Secondary Math 1 or Secondary Math 1 Plus. Mm-hmm. Is the state doing something, or do they have to go to a charter school in order to continue to excel? And I know I asked that question knowing there's a good answer. So
We have a really great answer. We have a lot of really talented mathematicians in Utah and have opportunities for them. You'll notice that there are no grade levels attached on this document, and that's to keep it flexible and fluid for our families' needs. Most generally what happens is a student will take 2 math classes in 1 year. It's an accelerated program, and so it mostly occurs in either 6th grade and 7th grade math is together, or 7th and 8th grade is taught together in the same year, and then they're able they're demonstrating competency, right, in each level of math, but they're a year ahead. And so they can take, lots of students like to take AP Calculus and AP Statistics. AP Calculus and like junior or senior year, they kind of flip-flop them. And some students really like to take the dual enrollment as well. So that leaves those options open for them for their junior and senior year.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear it. I know that there's been times when I've heard people say, well, my kid's in ninth grade, they take this. And I know that that's not the case. And I want to make sure that it's not only public on record, but on record in my own mind to say, no, we have options. We don't hold kids back from their abilities, but
That's exactly right.
we want to feed that. So thank you.
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Appreciate that question. So going back to our dual enrollment courses, we have a lot of data that shows that we're doing really great things for students. First of all, the size of these circles on this pie chart, that's indicative of how many students are enrolled in the dual enrollment program here in the state of Utah. We start with the smallest circle on the left, that's fiscal year 2015, 2016, and we move every year all the way to fiscal year 2019, 2020. And so the size of the circle is getting bigger. That means more students are taking an opportunity to earn college credit in high school through one of those 3 quantitative literacy courses that were on the previous slide. And then you'll notice the colors. So in 2015, 2016, that light blue is College Algebra 1050, and that was kind of the gold standard for that's the calculus pathway, and that was kind of seen as the math class that most students would benefit from. But I'm going to go back one slide. As we see from here, college algebra doesn't serve people who want to major in history, nursing, psychology, social sciences, English, language arts, fine arts, humanities, and performing arts. And so with the addition of 1040, which is statistics, and 1030, which is quantitative reasoning, and that flyer, I like to say that flyer and socialization, empowering parents and families to make decisions about which concurrent enrollment course is going to serve them. We see the colors kind of in the pie chart are growing. So we're not taking anything away from that college algebra pathway, but we're increasing opportunities for students to take statistics or quantitative reasoning based on whatever their interests and aspirations are.
Can I ask a question? I'm just thinking a numbers game here. So when we measure Utah's high school students for math proficiency, do we use the full circle? Or are we using the light blue? And is it based on ACT or a variety of things if we were to say math proficiency, and maybe not any of those?
It's actually, the circles are college credits earned.
I do understand that. I'm thinking, this is I'll ask another day. We'll talk later.
Okay, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Okay, me too.
So these are some of the link takes you to an infographic that highlights some of the wonderful aspects of our unique secondary math ecosystem. I put on this slide 3 of the pieces that our stakeholders are the most proud of: our teachers, our families, our students. I'll start in the top left. We have our 3 years of Math to Graduate High School state. In 2012, we had 28% of students who would take a 4th year math credit, and we have increased that by double digits. We're at 87% in 2020 of students who are taking 4 years of math. That's amazing without having a 4th year of math requirement. We're also showing in the bottom left that our credits, our concurrent enrollment, that was kind of shown by the size of the circles. We're growing that program, and more families are taking advantage of it as they have information about which quantitative literacy credit is going to help their students succeed based on their interests and aspirations. We have shown at least 10,000 more credits earned since the program was introduced in 2011. And that 10,000 credits is from the year 2020, school year 2020. So that's a huge celebration. And then the bottom right is course completion. In 2012, we had 43% of students with disabilities earning their 9th grade math credit. And in 2020, we now have 85% of students with disabilities earning their 9th grade math credit. Huge shout out to our wonderful math educators in the secondary system, our families, our parents, our students. It just seems to be thriving. We appreciate this time to go over the math ecosystem with you. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any comments or questions? Would you do that one more time, Sarah? Thank you. Okay, so Board Member Rill, do you have
Yeah.
a question?
I just wanted to shout out these three, Trish, Molly, and Lindsay, because this is so cool. And I'm almost jealous that I wasn't in school when they built this ecosystem, because I might have loved math a lot more. And a lot of the work that I do a lot of work at Salt Lake Community College on trying to figure out how to navigate and support students in math that come in from our K through 12. And this is going to be impactful in a lot of ways in our state. And I'm really excited about all the work they've done. This is a huge undertaking and it's really awesome. So great job, guys.
Are there any other questions? Okay, Board Member Green? Yes.
Maybe I'm not sure how to pose this, but that increase up to 85%, do you think that that increased because there was higher learning that was offered? Do you know, like, have you been able to maybe put your thumb on why that increase? People think math is cool, which would be cool.
So you ask a really great question about this bottom right statistic here, the course completion of students with disabilities of their 9th grade math credit. And it's, I think it's hard to ascribe as a mathematician myself. It's a complex system with a lot of variables. We're now defining which course is, the most important that meets the student's needs and aspirations. So we're allowing for choice, right? And we're also increasing the depth and complexity of the mathematical knowledge that's brought into 9th grade, and where it's just hard to ascribe it to one specific feature, but it's just, it's something that our educators are very proud of in the state. And
Could that apply to the 87% up here, the students who completed one extra mathematical credit?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like that might be because college classes are becoming more available to high school students? I know that I had, some kids that have taken
totally.
college math. Statistics was a killer.
Right.
But it was done and
Super important.
they were proud. So does that maybe affect them maybe, or?
I absolutely think it's a factor to consider. I also think that helping students and families make informed choices about which math class that they want to take based on what they're interested in is it's showing to have really great impacts on students wanting to engage with math more.
Okay, Board Member Bogus?
Thank you, ma'am. I believe my question is for you, Lindsay, right? Yeah, awesome. So my question is, if I can recall correctly, it's a Common Core document, but it says that for students to be ready for college, they have to take more than what is required. And if we bring that into today, are students doing that? And then I have one final follow-up question.
Well, that's a great question. So we have the Utah Core Standards here. I'm not quite sure what the Common Core recommends, but in Utah, our higher ed partners have all come together. We have a quarterly math meeting with all the chairs of the departments, and we meet and discuss what is the content and the sequence of that content that is going to make students ready. And this is what they've decided. You can see the high-level bullets in those foundation courses.
Yeah.
The statute says that in order to have access to 1030, 1040, or 1050, that you have to complete secondary 1, 2, and 3.
Perfect, okay. And my next question is, do you have data, and if so, could you send it to me, that tells us how many students after graduating in our system have math remediation once they graduate?
I am so glad you asked that, and I'm going to open up. It's on this infographic.
Okay.
We have shown a decrease. I'm not sure if I can open it and share. Oh, I can. Wonderful. That's another highlight. Let me just quickly find it. Right here. Right here. So in 2016, we had 26% of students who were entering college as a freshman, and they had to enroll in remedial mathematics. And in 2019, we have 16% of students who
Do we
are
know where we're at?
enrolling.
Oh, I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I
Do
was
we
just
know
so
where we're at
excited.
in 2023?
No, that data's not out yet.
Okay.
And that's the most recent data that I had my hands on.
Well, this is a celebration. I did not mean to
Absolutely.
minimize that. It's
No,
a celebration.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And great work.
It looks like that's all of our questions. So thank you so much for coming. So, and we'll be talking more math soon, standards and assessment soon. So